Here we are, right now, and it's day number 4 in our series. This series is a trip report, a day-by-day account, a kind of journaling of my experiences with Who Is In. So I'm going to assume you're up to date with the structure that I'm doing and you're on board. So if not, listen to the previous episodes. This is part of a series. And I do wonder if calling it a trip report is the right thing to call it. Maybe I should have called it something like process report, or reviewing the consciousness technique, or personal insights, something else, but it's the name we've got for now. So maybe I'll call my future reports on tripping on consciousness techniques something else. Today I woke up at 4 a.m. and I had so much energy. I could not sleep. So I got up and I went for a walk, and I walked for 2 hours. It was a 2-hour walk. And I got to the end of that walk and I was not tired. And then I did my full routine for the whole day. It was breakfast, 1 hour of silent sitting, 40 minutes of Who Is In, and then I went for a long drive where I was listening to some meditative music or some meditative sounds and really meditating quite a lot, continuing the meditative space. Then I had lunch, Who Is In set 2, afternoon, 1 hour of silent sitting, 40 minutes of Qigong standing, and voila, here we are now. And I feel alert, strong, energized, grounded, clear, and perfectly on track with everything that I've done today. It was just like steamrolling the whole routine. And this is a very big contrast to yesterday, right? Yesterday I failed dismally. Yesterday I couldn't even get through anything except for the Who Is In sets themselves. And I was feeling really tired and I really struggled just with those. And this sort of gets to, well, my sort of, how should I say, this is my sort of key insight from today, which is that I'm seeing the different parts of me at the same time. Like I can easily remember how I was yesterday. I can easily feel how I feel today and contrast that with what I was feeling yesterday. And also even the day before, and also even the day before that. Now you could say it's the process, you could say it's the techniques that I'm doing, but remember, there could be other factors. For example, I did start taking some vitamin C. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe certain vitamins can affect my energy levels. I also have other things on and other things in my diet. So we can't always conclude that it's because of the process that I feel the way I feel. But what I can conclude is what I can say is how I've been able to make sense of different things at once. And during the sessions, what came up is this moment where I could see my problems. And I could see them as these things. And they were summarized nicely. They were quite complex problems, quite big problems, but they appeared as simple and summarized. And they all appeared together, so I could see each one of them. I could say, well, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. And furthermore, I could see things that weren't a problem in exactly the same way. I could see things that were actually quite good, things that I cherished, things that I was excited about, things that I really like, things that I hope for, things that I feel good about generally. And they were summarized too, and they were quite big things, some of them. quite complicated things, and they were summarized along with my problems. It was like I had this row of probably about 10 to 12 things, just a dozen things, all in a row, and some of them were problems, some of them were good things. And as I viewed those things, as I could sit there, I realized that, well, one big thing was that I didn't have a problem, and I actually felt good about viewing these things. I could see from a space of relaxed calmness, from a space of clarity. And I put this down to being able to see things throughout 40 minutes, having things change in and out over the space of 40 minutes and being forced to actually see how they change. And it's quite astonishing how much happens in 40 minutes. It's quite funny how many ups and downs and ins and outs there are, and how revealing it is to have to constantly be describing it, to constantly be putting words to it. In one of the sessions, I had to go to the bathroom, so I thought, well, I'll just continue what I'm doing. And I took my headphones off, got up from the microphone, up from the seat. I let the set keep playing, so it was the same amount of time, but I kept talking. I kept saying what I was doing. And I was taking this big, smelly shit. And I was just describing like, oh, that smells bad, and all sorts of, it was not really that funny at the time, but it's funny to talk about now. I was sort of in the space back then, but and of course there were other things, like it wasn't just the smelly shit that was the most prominent thing in my awareness at that time. And I just continued, and then that's just an example of how many ups and downs there are and how many little things there are. And then this is carrying over into, not only can I see how many ups and downs there are within 40 minutes, but I'm seeing more clearly how many ups and downs there are within my day. I could notice that I didn't feel tired in the morning. I didn't feel tired in the afternoon. I felt energized at certain points. Today. This is today I'm talking about. And there was a time when I really just stood back and I thought, wow, so much happens in a day. There's so many different feelings that I have. There's so many different things that is occupying my consciousness at different times. And there was a time in the afternoon where I just sort of got hit in the face by this realization that, wow, I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning and went for a 2-hour walk, and I hadn't even thought about that for the whole day. It hadn't even occurred to me once. And that moment when it did occur to me was like, whoa, how different I felt for those 2 hours. How different that atmosphere was. I mean, it was early morning, before the sunrise, different smells of the air. There was different moistures around. There were different sounds of the traffic starting to make its way around, different colors of light. And there really is something so beautiful about witnessing the sun rising. And I wasn't exactly watching the sun rise. Of course, I did see some of that in the clouds, but I was walking, so I was doing what I was doing. But to see the day unfold into light really is quite magical. It's quite beautiful. And all of that was so different to, well, how the rest of my day was. And there was so much in that. And I feel how long a day is a conversation that we can have for a very long time. It's a very deep conversation. There's a lot in that, and that's actually related to time travel and developing meditative timelessness. So we can't go too far into that now, but keep that in the back burner. Keep that as something we will talk about more in the future. And as for today, there were actually larger realizations, because not only did I see how many different things there were in my day, but I'm starting to see how many different things there are in my week. Because I can see quite clearly that I was so tired yesterday. I remember telling you. We were talking about it. That was just last episode where I was just saying I was so tired I couldn't even get through. And now today, well, I feel very energized, sharp, clear. And that's actually going back for a few days. I can actually remember how it was in the morning on the first day of this series. I can also remember how it was, for example, after lunch on the second day. Now, there's a scale there. There's a degree of detail. But the insight is that that detail is much richer than it normally is. Like, think about this. Can you remember how you felt in the morning 4 days ago? Can you remember the moment you woke up? What sort of mood you were in 4 days ago? And what about after lunch 3 days ago? Can you remember what you had for lunch 3 days ago? Do you remember where you were when you had lunch? Might be your usual spot. Can you remember any of the details from 3 days ago? See, even in that, normally that's quite tricky. Normally that's a bit of a work, right? And probably you could do that. It's not impossible to have those memories, to find those memories, but you really have to dig for them. Whereas here, with this process, what's happening to me is that they're sort of just coming to me. They're sort of appearing next to one another, next to each other. And it's so easy, it's so revealing. It's like, wow, there's so many things that I'm feeling at different times, at different days, in different ways. And of course you can see where this goes, right? Because if you take this through to its logical conclusion, right? So we've seen how 40 minutes, how many different things there are within that time. And then we've seen within 1 day how many different things there are. And now it's getting to be 1 week. And now, well, the next thing is a year. And you could say, well, a month is a year. A month is the next space to go into. But it doesn't really evolve like in neat things like that. And I say it's a year as the next thing because that's actually what came to me. That's actually what appeared. Once I had realized, wow, there's so much that happens in 40 minutes. I was then realizing, wow, there's so much that happens in a day. And then it was, wow, there's so much that happens in a week. And then there was this moment where I said, take a look at this year. Take a look at all the stuff that has happened in the last 12 months. Take a look at all the different feelings that have happened. All the different things that I've thought about, all the things that I've talked about, the different places I've been, the different moods I've been in, the downs. I had a pretty tough downtime there. There have been some pretty tough downtimes. And how different the smells are and the different weather, the different places, the different things that I've had going on inside me. It's like, it's just, whoa, it's just so rich. It's so amazingly vibrant. And I can see it all, like this whole year. I can see this whole year from this space of relaxed clarity. Just like I can see all my problems and my joys from this space of relaxed clarity. And it really is, well, I like that space. I believe it's the better part of me. Now, as for more about some of the details of what's happening throughout my day, I'm not thinking much. I notice that. My mind isn't having thoughts. There's no strong dialogue. There's not really any ideas, which is uncommon for me, actually. There are times when I have many ideas, lots of ideas. I don't really have any of that. And my perceptions are deeper. My perceptions are a lot more clear. I'm seeing things. Like as I'm driving, I can see like the individual trees. And I can see like, wow, there's another tree, there's another tree. And I can see leaves and I can see different parts of the hills. And I notice that. It's an actual noticeable difference in how more beautiful the landscape seems. How much more clear it is visually. And I can also notice in how I'm listening to music and the details of the sounds are much more alive. Like I could hear at one point, there was this guitar riff, this guitar moment, and I could hear each of the little picks of the string, like the pick on the plucking of the string of the guitar. I could hear in like this kind of microscopic detail, like it was close mic'd. And it might have been close mic'd. That might have been how it was recorded. It might have been meant to sound like that. But not always is it the case that I get that detail. It was almost like the song was playing in slow motion, but it was not in slow motion. It was just the normal tempo, right? It wasn't a slow song. It was just a medium speed of the song in terms of the tempo. But I could hear it in such detail, and also the drum part, like the details of the instruments. So it wasn't just the guitar, but it was all around the different parts of the orchestration. So that is a few things about perception dilation. Well, not necessarily dilation. It should be the word perception clarity. And the space of no mind, it's something that is very much there today. I feel very clear. I feel very, very relaxed. And it's really a great thing to be able to see so many different parts of me all at once. So many different parts of the things I've been, and to hold them in the same space. So that's about all for today. This has been day number 4. And very soon we'll be back with day number 5. It's a 7-day process. Most likely by the time you're listening to this, the whole series will be out. I don't have many immediate listeners, I don't think, if any at all. So thanks very much for tuning in, and that's all I have to say for now.